Hi family, welcome to Motivations and Memoirs. This is Iberika Thomas. Yes, I did say family because the fact that you are back to view another video, it means that you have joined the journey, and as such you're considered family. You have subscribed, you are sharing the videos with your friends, you're leaving your comments, and so that makes you family. If you are viewing and you have not subscribed, this is the opportune time for you to just pause and jump over to the side of the screen, click the subscription button and join the journey. This is episode 5 in the forgiveness/unforgiveness series. Back with me is my guest who is continuing her story about the killing of her son. You know, the lessons she learned, the battles that she faced when it was brought to her by his friends, family members, to let's do a reprisal. We want revenge for this young man who was innocently killed. And surprisingly, her own experience of forgiveness, where the Lord told us, spoke to her, and she made the choice to let it go, to forgive and to embrace the same man who took the life of her beloved child. Again, forgiveness is a choice. It is a struggle. It's a hard road to travel and a mighty long way to go. But if we are willing to make that choice, God is more willing to walk with us, to enable us. And it is something that is expected of us to do. So stay tuned as I bring in the guest a second time for the continuation of her story. See you in a bit. Okay guys, so we are back as Cecille continues her story. Now this is the point where she is now at the funeral, having to give a word. So you can continue to share.
Good day again, guys. Yes, I was at my friend's funeral, and it was a sad state, but the Lord take me through it. He really took me through it, caused me to be strong, standing there with so many mixed feelings. But when God has a purpose for your life, and there is a Proverbs that says that you will not give us more than what we can bear. And I went through that phase, and the son did not literally point the gun at my child, but he was the one that set up everything. He was the one that set up everything. But after leaving that funeral, I had to wait on the autopsy for my son. And autopsy in Jamaica. So I had to wait a couple weeks for the autopsy. I had to go there to identify him. That was a story all by itself. But the Lord took me through. And the strangest thing at the autopsy is when the policewoman that was in charge of this autopsy, and she came to me and his father, and she said, I've never in my life ever fall in love with a dead man. And I see this little boy and I wished I knew him. The doctor said he is well fed. The thing about it is that he should not even live. long enough that he could give his statement to the police and sign it before he died.
Wow.
Because the bullet went through here and it come right out. So even if he survived the gunshots, I would have a vegetable. And I remember coming out of that, you know, the policewoman was a source of strength. She said, be strong. And I came home. Again, I was sad now. Because you know, you have grief, you have disbelief, then you have the grief, then you have the anger. No, the anger, and then you start grief.
And it comes in any there's no set way for it to come. It chooses to come anyhow.
I would just scream. I would just cry. It reached a stage that even now Iberica can vouch for me. I don't watch news because my daughter literally had to stop me from watching news, because at that 2009 was like an era of killing, especially in Montego Bay. And every time a killing come up, you hear it reprisal from Perry Street and reprisal, and I just couldn't deal with it. So now I started praying. You know, I started praying, and I would pray non-stop. I would fast, I would pray, and I would fast. And a lot of things started happening. And when I ready, to bury this child, you throw your insurance. But I work in Kingston and throw my insurance in South Lamar. When I ready that there was no money. Because the person that I send my money to pay this insurance every month did not pay it.
So the
policy lapsed.
Lord have mercy.
But then I remember the Lord says, I will bury this boy. You will bury this boy. I will cause you to bury this boy. And you will have surplus. And God never lies.
Amen.
It's even after burying this child, the last money I got was a friend of mine that was not in Jamaica, and she came and she gave me $6,000. She said, buy yourself some ice cream. Because she knew that I love ice cream. She said, buy yourself some ice cream. You know, God is faithful to his words, and that's why I trust him. He is my source. He is my reason for living. And I tell them at church, when you see me come inside here and praising God, it's not because I know him more than you, or I'm holy than you, but because I knew the God that I serve that has come through for me so many times. After the funeral,
How was the funeral though?
The funeral was, I had to rent an auditorium, and the crowd inside was the crowd on the outside. This little boy was loved by everyone. When he died, I said young men cry, I said little boys cry, I said little girls cry, I said old men cry. It's like it was everybody's child that died. So the support of the community was great. You know, the support was great. Even though you have people that was afraid to come by the home, because at that time they said that going to be a reprisal. A police said don't keep any setup. Even the young man, before I did, he called my daughter and he said, tell Cecile to keep her setup, because I know that people is telling her that I'm coming here to shoot it up or whatever. Because one of the young men that died with my son, it was 3 of them that died, and one of them that died, his one was kept in Hanover, and at the setup they went there and killed his uncle, who was a pastor. They shoot it up. So the police advised me not to. But my daughter said to him, you don't know the mother that I have. You have no clue. You and 10,000 of you couldn't stop my mother. I can't stop my mother from keeping it secret. And it was said, people will say a lot of things, and it was said that he was a scammer. It was said that I bury him in style. And it's his scamming money that I used to bury him. Because those days, as anything is scamming.
So you were able to bury your son after an insurance that you were paying for him lapsed. God provided, because God had promised that he would meet the
God provided. God provided. And country setup. Country funeral. At that funeral I had 2 coasters from Kingston. 2 coasters came down Ram. The father side of the family come with a coaster, bus and cars. My mother side of church come with a coaster. So you have a lot of people coming in.
So you got the support. You got good support.
And I had to say thanks again to my community. Because not one of them, set up and community people come at the house to food. No. When they see the crowd that I had to deal with, everybody go home. If somebody even come, is not to collect any food, it's just support.
And what was the support at the funeral though? What happened to you that day? How did you manage to
it was like the morning I was sitting there and I started screaming. And I was consoled by a family member. And I have this good friend of mine. And she called me. And she said, don't go in that hole that I see you about to enter. She said, don't go in that hole. God says, don't you dare. You are stronger than what you think. And God is going to bring you through. And it's as if strength just flooded my body. I went to the church because I was to do the funeral at 11. So the funeral started at 11. After a couple minutes after that, the hearse came, to the home, and the cooks and who could be there view him, and I did not cry again. And I read his eulogy. Yes. I read his eulogy. Who's going to talk about my son like me?
Oh my God.
So I read his eulogy. And up till this day, some of my mother church sisters remember me. Oh, this is your daughter, the one that read her son eulogy. I wonder how you did it. But it wasn't me. God really strengthened me through it. And I did not sleep for 3 nights. So after funeral, everybody left me. And I just went in that bed, and I don't know when nobody came home. I wake in the morning and I was so refreshed. Came back to Kingston. Had to leave my husband. Came back to Kingston. He wasn't dealing well. He wasn't coping. But
you had to come back
I had to came back to work. For my peace of mind, I had to. And that was when a different issue started. No, I'm going ahead of myself. At the funeral, I was at the graveside. And, say goodbye. And this is the last I'm seeing him. And I remember a girlfriend of mine called me and said, come after. And I hear a scream. And I hear this wounded animal screaming. And I was looking around to see who was screaming. I was literally looking around because I hear the scream. And the scream sound like an animal that is in great pain. Not knowing that it's me,
Wow.
Iberica, I was screaming and I started to run. And I have this good police friend of mine from Kingston, and he was at the funeral. And he said to me days after, weeks after, he said, Cecille, when I hear that scream, everything in me break up.
My God.
Because I have my children. And I would never want to be in your shoes. But before Kyle died, you know, there was this man, this young girl that goes to Froome High School. And she went missing. They came in the house. Some fight at school and she killed somebody. And they came to the house and took her.
Whoa.
And they find her dead. And the Monday night I was watching the news. And I was saying to my family member, I would never want to be in that man's shoes. The man said, I watched these things on TV and never knew that it would reach my home. And I said to my cousin, I said, I would never want to be in this man's shoes. What if this should happen to none of my children, especially Kyle? How would I deal with it?
My God.
This was the Monday.
And
And Saturday, I was in the man's shoes. So I came back home. And he said, I knew exact. Then I felt a part of your pain. I was told that good friend of mine hear me scream. And he takes the heels for it. He said, I don't want to see her. Jesus, God, I was listening for this, but I don't want to see her. And he took the heels for it. But I get over that phase. Now I'm back at work. And the nightmares started. For 6 months, I would go to bed. And I would see my son being shot. I would hear him calling out to his sister, come take me to the doctor. I'm going to die. And I am afraid of every 6 o'clock. Because that tells me that night is coming. I would lie in that bed and can't sleep. I would call my husband and we would talk. That time you have the phone and we would talk endlessly. Why? Because he don't want me to scream. He don't want me to cry. One night I cried non-stop. And the morning he called me, and this little girl, it was one of his best friends. And she said, Miss Cecille, Kyle said to tell you, he dreamed me last night and asked me to ask you why every time he come you're crying. Stop crying. He know why you're crying and he's okay. Stop the crying. He's okay. And that was the exact night I cried non-stop because I just could not deal. Not seeing this little boy. Not hearing this little boy. I don't even remember beating this little boy. All the rest of them would give me trouble and I would lick from Rome to yonder. But not this little boy. This little boy went to Homewood as a boarder. And if he's going to Christiana with his friends and he called. They called him Mama's boy. And he called and said, Mom, they are going to Christiana, can I go? I knew all his friends. And I would say, one who going, and if somebody is in there that I don't want him to go there with, I said, no, you can't go.
And he would come.
30 of them come back. Him not leaving till he call me. They can't get him to go anywhere with them from I says no. And I'm not there to see what he's doing. But he's saying is that what if I go to Christiana and anything happened to me? What will I tell my mother? I will kill my mother. My mother will be disappointed of me. I can't do it. So they would call him at school Mama's boy. And I said, yes, you are Mama's boy. Continue to be an obedient child. So I knew that this child was such an obedient child. If I says, Kyle, no.
It's a no.
It's a no. It's end there for him. You can't tell him nothing to override what I say.
So coming back now and having to, so you're having sleepless nights, you can't sleep, I mean restless nights, you can't sleep. Did you start to get angry again at this point with the killers? Because I mean,
No.
yes, you had, okay.
No.
So all of that was past.
All of that was past. From the day that the Lord said to me, because the thing about it, you know, if this young man did what he did by putting out a contract on somebody, my child would die. So from the offset of it, I was not angry with the person that literally shot him. I was angry with this child that I'm always there for. His father and I being so close, I'm always there for this boy. I was angry at him, but from the Lord said it to me that day in the church, that tell him that I will forgive him and he will live if he surrenders his life to me.
What happened to him?
He died. He
He
died.
didn't surrender.
He didn't surrender. He said that he can't. He know that he's going to die, and he just can't. And he died like Kyle died in February, buried in April, and he died in June.
Wow.
Now when he died, I feel sadness for the mother, because I knew
You know,
now
the pain. Mhm.
what she's feeling.
Yeah.
You know, I knew now what she was feeling. Even the police officer that had the case called me to find out if I was the one that killed this young. And I had to say to this officer, get off my phone. Go do your job. After the death of my son, the funeral and everything, I really started grieving. I would cry endlessly. But one weekend I went home, and at church we had a youth convention or a youth crusade. So I was down the Friday night and I went. And this young minister preached. And it's just like he knew that I was hurting. And when he was making the altar call, he says, every hurting woman come to the altar. So I went up, because I know this pain that I am having. Can't sleep in the night, living his death, living everything. You know, I just couldn't sleep. And when this young man laid his hand on me, he pulled it off. He said, my God, how do you sleep? What pain? How do you do this? He said, you know, it's as if when the man rests his hand on my shoulder, is that something burn him, and he pulled off his hand and he dressed back. And he said, woman, how you do it? He turned to my pastor and said, this woman is in such a pain. My God. And he started praying for me. And I remember he prayed and he said, God says to tell you, you will sleep tonight without crying. He says, no more tears. God says your setback is coming. He said the setback is for a comeback. He said, no more will you cry, woman of God. You know, and he went to somebody else, and I went to the washroom, and you know, and when I came back, he said, woman of God, God says to tell you that what the devil meant for evil, God is going to turn it around for good. He said, you will never cry the way you cried again. No, no, no. God is healing you from this pain. Aberika, I went home and I slept like a baby.
Oh God.
From that, I sleep in the nights. I will remember him sometime, and you know, the tears will flow, but not as with that pain. Mm-hmm. And I remember one day I went on fasting. I was in the washroom. And And I remember my dad was in KPH and I met this young man from Spanish Town. Some shooting and somebody shooting. And he was angry and I was minister to him. And I was saying, I don't know what you are feeling, but I have lost a son to the gun. And I'm glad that you are alive. Yes, you get shot and I'm glad that you are alive. But this man was so angry. The anger twisted his face. The anger distorted his face. And I tried to console him. And he said, woman, mother, you know why I talk to you? I know who shoot me and not even my mother I don't tell. Because I know I go and kill him. Me and him used to eat out of the same pot. And because the gang, him shoot me, nearly kill me, I'm in no trouble him. And I said to him, God, I will be praying for you. Him say, you better pray. You better pray. So when I was on fasting the day, this young man's face just comes up to me. And I start praying for him. And I said, God, I wonder what happened to him. I wonder if he died. I wonder if he's saved. Because I prayed for his salvation. And you know, and I heard, is the first and the last time I ever heard God speak to me like that. It's as if he was standing beside me at the cistern. And I hear the words. That's how Kyle would have been had I allowed him to live. But he was ready and I took him. Hey, 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 I run. And I stand up outside and everybody come, why are you standing out there in the sun? And I was so afraid. No, I was literally afraid to come back in the washroom. And everybody come, why are you standing outside in the sun? Why are you standing out there, Cecille? Why? Because everybody know that I'm grieving, so nobody concerns me standing outside. And I can't tell him that I just hear the voice of God, and it was so audible. It's like he was standing right beside me. People hear God in their head, them hear them in their heart. But I heard him standing beside me talking. When I went back in and started washing, he came back, but this still voice. It is I that have spoken. He was ready and I took him. No, I stopped crying. But as I said, Iberika will tell you that I don't grieve well. She always said that I grieve in stage. The fixed station come. His birthday would be coming up. No, the memorial, and the night before I would start thinking about it, and I would post it on Facebook and I would be crying, and the morning I'm out of it. I have no use to myself.
Yeah, I remember those days.
And sometimes she said, Cecille, you have to, and I said, you don't understand what I'm going through. And she would try, as a counselor she would try to get through me. Hey, hey. But Cecille is a hard nut to crack. You know, and it takes a while. But birthdays would be the same thing. His birthday is the 21st of October. And my grandson, I can't forget his birthday because my first grandson had the same birthday. So I can't forget Kyle's birthday. But the sweetest thing about it, that the 21st of October gone, I did not remember Kyle's birthday. And I was like, I get up the morning, I post my grandson picture on Facebook. I said, happy birthday. And it was then it dawned on me, but it's Kyle's birthday. And I was saying to God, thank you, Jesus. Because this year is the first year, no pain, no tears, no hurt. I was in Canada and I came back on the day that he died. And my daughter was in a fit. Because when I went to Canada, I was supposed to come back in November. And my ticket was extended to February. My girlfriend had no clue that that was the day of the death of my son. So I came back and my daughter was like, I know you. I know you
But you were well.
coming on that plane and you're just going to cry. You know, she even asked my cousin, can't you come down with her? You know? Because my cousin was supposed to come out. And she said, don't come before. Come down with mommy because I know her. And you know? And I said, I'll be good. The thing about it is that when you trust God, when you put Him first in your life, then nothing lasts forever. It's a season, a time to weep, a time to mourn, a time to cry, a time to rejoice. You know, I said to somebody last year that this year, that this is one of my best year, and the person was amazed because I have learned. You know, it was a couple weeks ago. The Lord said to me, we were, you know, sometimes you pray and sometimes you just talk with the Lord, and we were in our talking mood. And He says to me, Cecile, you forgive people, you know, but you don't easily do it. And I paused. And I said, yes, Lord, because I deal with things in stages, just like how I grieve. Something will come across me and you say something to me and it hurt me, and then I will think about it, but instead of being angry, I will just shut it down like it never happened. So I will just shut it down like it never happened. Don't deal with it, because sometimes I believe not dealing with a thing, it is pain from me. But the Lord says no. I know you learn to forgive, but you must do it as it happened. Don't do it like how you grieve. Just don't process it. Don't process it. Just, you know, so I start learning now. As you hurt me, I let it go. Because guys, when you forgive somebody, you're not helping the person, you are helping you.
That's right.
Forgiveness, unforgiveness cause you to be literally sick. Unforgiveness incur hatred, it incur bitterness, it causes murder. There's so many things the one sin does and more. It literally sick you. Some people have ulcer because of bitterness and unforgiveness. So when I have nobody right now, I can't think of nobody right now that I have in this heart. Because it's just a little piece of thread that holds up our hearts. And it's going home time. And we just have to let go things. For your peace of mind, it may be. The thing is hurtful. I know. As Sister Thomas tell you, I've been coming a mighty long way. I've been through so many things. I knew of people that literally want my life. And I've learned to pray for them. I've learned to forgive them. Why? We don't know when the Lord is about to put in His appearance.
Choice. The choice. We
don't know. I'm there busy hating on you. And you are busy fixing up yourself to go home. And when you gone, I am here for the great tribulation, still hating.
Oh Lord.
I refuse to allow anybody to stop me from reaching the purpose that God has for my life. He says no sin cannot enter there. None. Not even one. His 10 commandments. If you break one, you break all. So let us learn to let go and let God. You can do it. He has allowed me to do it. We can do it. We just have to put God first.
Yes.
I put God in everything. If I'm going to clean, I say, God, and me and you are clean. If I'm going to cook, I say, God, me and you cooking. Right? I have learned to trust Him and put Him in everything. And the reward at the end of it is joy and peace and happiness. I'm glad that I didn't murder anybody.
Amen.
I'm glad that these hands
Are
are
clean.
clean. He
Wow.
says only a clean hands and a pure heart shall see me. So let us learn to forgive our greatest enemy. You know, God said we must forgive 77 times 7
7
in
times
a day.
7 in a day, yes, 490 times.
In a day.
Uh-huh.
So people will constantly hurt us. But let us forgive. God bless you.
Thank you so much, Cecille, for sharing. It has been, well, she has trimmed it down. I said in part 1 that our story is long, and it really long. I really thank God for you, because was it like 8 years ago, 9 years ago, I remember I had to say to her, well, probably not quite 8, maybe about 7 years ago, I had to say to her, come here, we need to talk. Because I remember the grief. So not only has she struggled with unforgiveness, but the unforgiveness, if you have listened, you would realize that the forgiveness was the easiest part for her. God spoke and she obeyed, and she's an obedient person. Naturally, that's her. So it would, I know for persons listening, they would probably say, no sir, how should we do it so easy? That's because she's really an obedient woman. However, the struggle, this woman sitting here talking to you, you have heard about the situation with the death, but you have not heard half of the issue that she had with the grief, because she just wouldn't stop grieving. She was fixated. I had to say to her, listen to me, come with it up, because grief is goes by stages. You're fixated, you still have not accepted the fact. So she had a problem accepting that Kyle had gone, and that was a terrible, that was painful. It was heart-rending for me as her friend to be there, seeing her go through this. It would pain my heart. I was like literally tearing out my hair, because I didn't know what to do. There was not that I could say to her that would, that I could get through to her. Until one day we sat down and we said, come. And we went through the process of grief. And when I explained the stages to her, I said to her, you see this stage right here? Acceptance. You're stuck there. So you're not getting healed because you still not accept the fact, even though say you have funeral and all of that, you still have not accepted the fact that he's not here. And she's somebody, when you talk to her and you hit the nail on the head, she gets quiet and she goes away and she go digest and regurgitate. And she came back and she said, Tonette, you know, say true. And but you know what? She started dealing with, so she started praying differently. It was a really rough road, you know. You remember? She's my friend, I can tell you. It was a rough road. And you know, when your friend a cry, you are bald too, right? You know, so when your friend a tear out them ear, you a tear out your ear too. She's my friend. She's somebody, as I said earlier in part 1. She's somebody, and this is just her. She loves people, and she has had a rough life, you know. She's gonna come back and tell you about until you say her story long. She's gonna come back and tell you, share with you when we reach that series, because we're now doing the forgiveness series. But when we reach a series of testimony of hardship and struggles, and yeah, she has had it. I thank you so much, my friend. I appreciate you. I love you. And listen to me, man. If she can do it, you can. You would have to know this woman like I do and know what she has gone through. I was with her earlier today and I said, I feel like slapping you. Now she's 10 years my senior. And me and her out in the public and me I tell her, I say, I feel like slapping you because of something that she constantly do. Take out her heart. Selflessness. And then it is just ripped out and trampled on and you say to her, say, you're going to do it. And you're going to do it again, don't it? And you are, no, me learn. And tomorrow, she does the same. I say to her, and I say to everybody like her, you cannot get out of a person what is not in them. This is just her. So she will give and give and give. It is a pleasure to have had you listening and watching this episode with Cecille and her struggles with the death of her son, the murder, cold-blooded murder of her son, and how she dealt with it. But the lesson that I hope you learned from all that she said is that forgiveness was a choice that she made. Because as I said earlier, she could have said, God, look here, man. It's alright. You have to deal with this first. You know, there are some things, sometimes God talks to us and we say, hold on, God, I'm not ready yet. So it's like you have to take care of yourself first. Take care of the situation first. And then when it fails and blow up in your face, then you run back to God and say, God, I am sorry. She could have chosen to do that, but she chose obedience. And because of that obedience, she was able to release this person who cold-bloodedly murdered her son or orchestrated the murder of her son to the point where she was able to pray for him. If she has done it, so can you. The struggle's real, yes. Me know say it real. I have had my fair share of struggles and I still struggle with some things. So the struggle real. But it is possible for us to forgive. A matter of fact, it is expected of us to forgive. It is not something that we can hop around and get away with. We don't get by forgiveness. For our own healing, for our own peace of mind, we must forgive. And it is a choice that we must willingly make. Thank you so much for tuning in. Now, if you have not yet subscribed, do not allow this video to end before you subscribe. Please share with somebody. You know, some people who are struggling with things and they need to hear a testimony from somebody who also has struggled and has gotten over. Share with them. Leave your comments, and remember, if you are struggling so much that you are unable to move from point A to point B, feel free. Send an email. We have persons who will assist you, who will sit and talk you through this process of forgiveness and healing. So send me an email, abericathomas@yahoo.com, or you will see the link for the other avenues that you can email me, inbox me, etc., so that we can assist you, because I know, and I have said it already and I'm saying it again, the struggles are real. Thank you so much again for tuning in. Walk with my friends, and remember, come back and visit again. Remember, you're now family, right? So come back and continue to join the journey. God bless you. Walk good.